Sat Shri Akal, and welcome to the Success Series podcast hosted by Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, your destination for compelling conversations with trailblazers who shape industries and inspire transformation. I am Jitendra Kaur, Chapter Coordinator at Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. Today, we are privileged to have an exceptional guest with us, Mr. Deepak Chawla, a leader whose career is a masterclass in adaptability, leadership, and impact. Mr. Chawla, it's privileged to have you here. First of all, we would like to welcome you to our podcast, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. So to start with, I would really want to know that आपका जो career है, it has been spanned over 3 decades and in various sectors like
Mhm,
power, telecom, education, and infrastructure.
mm,
So,
mm.
what unique thread do you believe connect all these experiences, and how it has shaped your philosophy of success?
Yeah, there is a common thread, I would say. So, if you look at the diversity of the sectors that I have got the opportunity to work on, two things have come out here. One is that be prepared for surprises. Life is full of surprises. Kab kya hoga, pata nahi. So, my transition from one sector to the other and to the other, you won't believe, has been an overnight transition. आज कहा गया कल से ये करना है. So
Oh,
that is one thing that there is a thread which I would like to say that be prepared for surprises. The other thing is the continuous learning. So whether I was in infrastructure, whether I was in telecom or education, uh, the common thread is that I didn't know any of those sectors when I was brought into it. There was certain, uh, I don't know what reasons the management would have thought, कि चलो दीपक अब ये कर लो. So they
brought
would have
in as a
thought,
fresher.
yeah.
Oh,
So, and I didn't know anything of those sectors when I came into those sectors. So
oh,
learning on the fly is what my organization taught me, and which I believe is a philosophy I share with my daughter and the youngsters with whom I work with, that learning is continuous. Your graduation so is just a gate pass for you to get into a job or something, or maybe even your own entrepreneurship or business. So businessmen learn faster because
mm,
उनको business करना होता है. The thread which I want to stress upon is continuous learning in new areas. तो आपके एरिया में तो you can keep on learning new things, नया advancement क्या हो रहा है, but having a multi-sectoral learning and understanding makes you grow multifold. Which if you, so there are people who might say कि नहीं मेरी तो speciality ये है, मैं इसमें क्यों जाऊं, मुझे तो कुछ पता ही नहीं है, why should I leave my domain? So there is one school of thought के I am a specialist of my domain, I don't want to dilute that. ऐसे लोग भी है.
हाँ जी.
But maybe my attitude is कि हो गया यहाँ सीख लिया कर लिया, now what next? And opportunities started coming. So learning new things, and you never know when it will happen to you, and be prepared for
Mm.
that.
So
Yeah, so these are some
basically,
of the things.
what your philosophy says कि अपना comfort zone छोड़ के go to मतलब try new things so that आपके पास opportunities आए and of course reach
Yeah,
to
and be ready
a
for it
good.
anytime. Be ready for it anytime.
That's great. That's great. Of course, sir. Tabi, you are a trailblazer in, of course, the adaptability and leadership, and in fact, due to this. So, sir, एक और thing है which I really want to know कि getting into different zones or different sectors, from there to handling 20,000 employees, of course, in one of the biggest corporate of India. And I really know that it's not at all a small feat. So can you share a defining moment from that role that actually tested your leadership philosophy and reshaped your perspective?
Well, there cannot be one incident.
Mm-hmm.
Life is full of incidents which have their own learnings, which have their own defining moments, and you grow with those moments. But one thing which I learned across, and which is something core to you, it does not, you don't have to learn it. The core
Mm-hmm.
is that when you're dealing with 20,000 odd people, people need to trust you. people need to have that belief in you कि अगर मैं कुछ बोल रहा हूँ and that too when I am handling HR say, so people need to trust you whether this guy is saying what he means, because generally I mean I could say HR is a function जिसके बहुत मीम्स बनते हैं, बहुत मजाक उड़ाया जाता
हाँ,
है.
ट्रू ट्रू ट्रू
Then
ट्रू,
we'll
आई
get back to you.
एग्री, आई
वो कहते
एग्री.
हैं कि we'll get back to you.
हाँ.
So my simple philosophy is okay, ठीक है, you'll get back to you, do get back. Because if you put yourself in the other person's position and
हम्म.
you receive a response, I'll get back, and you don't get back, or you have to be followed up with, is not something that, and it's not just in HR, it's a philosophy of life overall.
हम्म.
That people, whether you are in HR or whether you're in any position, in the organization or doing your own business, people will do business with you if they trust you. And that trust is built over a
हम्म.
period of time. The trust is built over small episodes. Then people start trusting you. कि नहीं, इसको बोला है तो हो जाएगा. And you
हम्म.
can imagine people saying कि नहीं यार, इसका भरोसा नहीं है, करेगा कि नहीं करेगा, ये बोल तो रहा है, but you don't know करेगा कि नहीं करेगा.
हम्म.
So I'll give you one example. I was dealing with unions, trade unions, and all of them are politically affiliated, and you know the political parties in Mumbai, uh, the different brands of whether it
हाँ
is
जी.
Shiv
हाँ.
Sena or the communist
हाँ
or
जी.
everybody.
बस.
So my mentor had told me when I was
हम्म.
assigned this role first time,
हम्म.
he said, see, all these union leaders who are dealing with you in the company have an affiliation with some leader. उनका भी कोई बॉस होता है, राइट?
हम्म.
क्योंकि उनकी भी हायरार्की होती है, वो भी आंसरेबल होते हैं अपने बॉसेस को. सो यू शुड नो कि जिस लीडर के साथ तुम डील कर रहे हो वो किसकी सुनता है, सो दैट यू हैव अ रिलेशनशिप विद दैट गाय जो इसका सो कॉल्ड बॉस है, पॉलिटिकल
बहुत सर.
बॉस है,
हिरारकी में, यस यस यस.
हायरार्की में. तो मैंने समझा, मैंने कहा वो तो ठीक है. हालांकि मैंने रिलेशनशिप भी डेवलप की है. कुछ 2-3 साल बाद आफ्टर दिस एपिसोड there was a
हम्म.
union issue, and it had to be diffused. Uh, so it went to a very, for some reason which suddenly कुछ spark हो जाता है, and then किसी ने किसी को थप्पड़ मारा and all that happened, and the whole organization blew up, and they said के बहुत हंगामा होने लगा.
ओके.
So जैसे बस भर भर के
हाँ जी.
हमारे बॉस के घर धरना जाके करेंगे, वो करेंगे. सो वो बसेस निकल गई, 8-10 बसेस निकल गई, भर भर के ट्रक्स निकल गए. करीब 1,000 लोग पहुंचने वाले थे वहां पे. सो आई मैनेज टू डिफ्यूज इट इवेंचुअली, because it was the
ओह.
spur of the moment that thing happened and people were agitated. And so then when it got diffused and things settled हुए, तो मेरे वो मेंटर ने पूछा कि तूने किससे बात की थी, किससे सेटल करवाया, किसकी सुनता है ये बंदा. मैंने कहा सर अब ये मेरी सुनता
ओह, दैट्स नाइस,
है. So the thing is that I
अप्रिशिएट.
wanted to build that confidence कि boss, you and I are going to talk. अगर
यस.
बॉसेस से बात करनी है तो मेरा बॉस और तेरा बॉस बात करेंगे, देन तेरी मेरी क्या जरूरत है. सो दैट लेवल ऑफ ट्रस्ट आई हैड बिल्ट विद दैट कि यू नो यूनियनबाजी होती रहती है, यू हैव टू मेक
हम्म.
पोस्चर्स, यू हैव टू डू सर्टेन ऑप्टिक्स. आई एम ओके विद दैट, बट वी एग्री अपॉन इट कि तू क्या क्या करेगा. इफ आई एम गेटिंग इनटू अ मीटिंग विद यू, I don't want the agenda of the meeting. I want the minutes of the meeting pehle in hand, and then I'll get into the meeting.
दैट्स
So
रियली नाइस.
we agree on those things, and so see, at the end of the day, everybody is a human being.
एग्जैक्टली.
You have
ट्रू.
to manage them, even in an organization, एक human way में करना पड़ता है. So this is how I feel the defining moment is that जो मुझे सिखाया गया था कि इसके बॉस से किसकी सुनता
बना
है
के.
वो होना चाहिए, मैंने कहा अब मैंने वो कर लिया कि वो मेरी सुनता है. I don't have to go to his boss.
That's nice. Now
So
I
yeah.
am carrying this forward from you. For sure, I'm going to apply it in my life. Because अगर आप, I know how Mumbai works and all that.
Yeah,
अगर आप
yeah,
वो
yeah,
चीज diffuse कर सकते हो तो of course I'm going to carry it in
yeah.
my life.
It was a matter of 3 hours. This whole thing reached such a crescendo, and when I diffused it, 3-4 घंटे में ऐसा हो गया था कि जैसे कि it will be a wildfire across the city. इस तरह से हो गया था।
And after that you diffused, वो ऐसा हुआ होगा कभी कुछ हुआ ही
Yeah.
नहीं. It was like that.
Yeah.
That's great. And sir, of course, we know कि you are a published novelist also, like from working into corporate to a published novelist,
Mhm.
Hindi poet, OTT actor. So, how do these creative pursuits influence your approach to leadership and professional changes?
Well, they don't influence. They make me stay grounded, I would say.
Hmm.
They make me feel balanced in my mental faculties and emotional faculty. Because अगर सिर्फ आप काम 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 पे ध्यान दें, तो then you become a machine. This
Hmm.
helps me whether I'm writing, whether I'm pursuing acting now, वो अलग बात है. So these things keep you grounded. These things keep you connected to your own self, and you become more aware of yourself, and you meet different people in the process also. So the influence is not that it the influence I would say is that it helps you maintain your mental balance. And I tell everybody, even the youngsters, कि जब हम कॉलेज वगैरह में होते हैं तो हमारी बहुत हॉबीज होती है, हम लोग खेलते
Hmm.
हैं, गाते हैं, पेंट करते हैं, एंड समवेयर एज वी गेट इनटू आवर प्रोफेशनल लाइव्स सब छूट जाता है. सो मैंने वो नहीं होने दिया. एंड आई टेल पीपल ऑल्सो, स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो विद whom I deal with, कि whatever you are doing, you let that continue in some form or the other. Do not leave it, because it will help you keep grounded. It will help you maintain your mental balance, your emotional balance. So, yeah, that's how it has not influenced me, but helped me balance myself.
परफेक्टली सेड कि अगर आप काम 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 करते जाओगे तो एग्जॉस्ट होने के बाद आप ही का मतलब
Hmm.
वो आपकी एफिशिएंसी कम होने लग जाती है. सो इफ यू विल कीप
Yeah.
योर हॉबीज अलाइव, naturally you'll set your another day with that end only. It's very
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, as one of the 100 most talented global HR leaders, so I am actually very obliged to have you with me. So I know you have been at the forefront of human capital innovations. So how do you see the role of HR evolving in the AI era, and what should organizations focus on to foster truly transformative workplaces?
So, well, AI is something which people are still trying to figure out कि AI क्या है और how will it impact us. To
Mm-hmm.
my mind, uh, you know, HR का नाम ही है human resource, though I call it human relations, not resource. So the job of HR is twofold, I would understand. One is uh, how you maintain harmony in the organization. You have a role to play in the harmony of the organization. Yet at the same time, you have to understand business as much as the business head understands. You have to
Hmm.
understand the challenges of the organization from the business point of view as much as the CEO understands. Only then you get a seat on the table. Typical classical HR जो होते हैं, they have their own theories, they have their own ways of whatever they have learned in their MBAs perhaps, or what they have learned from the classical HR leaders is वो काम करना. But I feel that there is a huge gap in the understanding of the business and the business challenges, what influences the business outcomes. You have to understand each and every function, each and every business line that your organization is in. And then only you can become a good HR, because you are not just a manpower hirer, or doing their exits or
Hmm.
doing their chutti ka calculation, and all that stuff. You are an integral part of business. This thing I
Hmm.
believe going forward, जो ये रूटीन प्रोसेसेस हैं वो तो एआई कर लेगा आपके, और करने भी चाहिए. यू नो
Hmm.
एचआर प्रोफेशनल शुड नॉट बी स्पेंडिंग टाइम डूइंग दोज रूटीन मुंडेन टास्क. एआई शुड डू
Mm-hmm.
देम. अगर आपको हायरिंग करना है और आपके सीवीज आपको शॉर्टलिस्ट करने हैं, यू वांट टू
Hmm.
डू अ फर्स्ट लेवल स्क्रीनिंग, व्हाई शुड यू वेस्ट योर टाइम ऑन दैट? एआई कैन डू इट वेरी वेल. ठीक है,
Hmm.
फाइनल स्टेज पे आते हैं, यू वांट टू
Yes.
मीट द कैंडिडेट एंड ऑल दैट, देन उसका ऑन बोर्डिंग करना है. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग स्मॉल एग्जांपल्स. दीज
हाँ
आर
जी.
mundane jobs which you do not, as a HR professional, add any value. You're only just doing the process. uh,
Hmm.
Not to belittle any function or any work, but I would say it is a clerical role. So
Okay.
all so-called clerical roles, AI should take over and will
Yeah.
take over eventually. You
Hmm.
have to add value as HR professionals to the organization. And for that, you need to understand business, which I feel is a huge gap in the current crop of HR professionals. So I would say that you work in HR in such a way that you can be a CEO tomorrow. That's the way HR should function.
Vast, vast thinking actually.
Yeah. And another important thing is HR should not work in HR lifelong. HR should work in other departments. So again, here there is yeah, I have had a lot of arguments but I have done it, that I have moved people from HR during my tenure to other departments. बोले अरे सर हम तो MBA चाह रहे हैं, हमारा करियर खराब हो जाएगा, आप हमको कैसे ये कर रहे हैं? मैंने कहा तुम सड़ जाओगे जिंदगी भर यही काम करते करते. इफ देर आर एक CHRO होगा और उसके नीचे इतने सारे लोग होंगे, कितने लोग CHRO बनेंगे? एंड तुम वही
Hmm.
काम करते
True.
रहोगे जिंदगी भर. So just to give an example, I said, okay, you have been dealing with people, you
Hmm.
have been addressing their grievances, you have been addressing their queries. Come on, let's move you to customer service, कस्टमर रिलेशंस, जहां तुम कस्टमर के साथ डील कर रहे हो. यहाँ तुम इंटरनल लोगों के साथ डील कर रहे हो, बाहर कस्टमर लोगों के साथ डील करो. सी हाउ इट वर्क्स. एंड देन बिकॉज इट्स द सेम थिंग, ओनली थिंग इज कि
Hmm.
आदमी चेंज हो गया, पहले अंदर का आदमी था, बाहर का
Hmm.
आदमी है.
बाहर का.
तुमको HR
Hmm.
प्रोसेसेस पता है, अब ये कस्टमर सर्विस के प्रोसेसेस समझ लो.
Hmm.
इनिशियली पीपल वर क्राइंग कि सर आप हमारे करियर खराब कर रहे हो. बट देन 1 year later, 2 year later, they thanked me. Thank you so much, sir. हमने इतना सीखा. And now they are in the line. If they do well, they can become
वो
CEOs.
stuck नहीं है उसी में, अब कहीं
शक
भी
नहीं है.
जाके they can,
हाँ.
yes, fit in.
So
That's.
I would like to suggest that HR folks should get into other roles, and also people from other roles should get into HR down the line. Like I am not an HR, I don't have an MBA in HR, right? I am an
Okay.
engineer. I have worked in various business roles for 22 years, right? From uh, operations to maintenance
Hmm.
to sales and marketing. सब किया है मैंने. उसके बाद life took me to HR. And I realized that I understand business organizations so well that I'm able to talk to the people at the level of parity. So I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend HR should go into other functions, and other functions also should come into HR. That's how the growth happens. That's how the enrichment happens.
Exactly, justifying the thing that you should get out of your comfort zone, वरना exactly
Absolutely,
वहीं सड़
absolutely.
जाओगे आप.
वहीं सड़ जाओ.
That's really because आज का सर एरा भी वही है, एज आई आज की वो एआई एरा है. अब नहीं करोगे तो इवेंचुअली एआई आपको रिप्लेस कर ही देगा, एंड
Yeah.
बाकी कुछ नहीं होगा. तो यस, you're right, very very right, very very rightly said actually. So sir, along with one of the most 100 talented global HR leaders, you are also a seasoned executive, board advisors, and a certified coach. So, what do you believe the next generation of leaders must master to succeed in the world defined by rapid change and heightened complexity?
Well, this complexity and change has always been there. It's not that it's happening now. If you look at any era and if you compare what the 80s was and what the 90s was,
Hmm.
every era has had transformative changes. And we have lived through and sailed through. But what is going to be more important now is managing the multi-generational workforce in the organization. So you will have the Gen Zs working, and then you'll have the baby boomers working together in the same teams, in the same organization. And there is the set of people who would be, say, in between 40, 45, 50, जो ना उधर है ना इधर है. For them,
Hmm.
new learnings are
Hmm.
difficult, and they are still not at a retirement stage. For them, upskilling and unlearning and relearning is going to be very important, because having spent 10, 15, 20 years uh, working in a certain way,
Hmm.
with certain mindsets, with certain processes, uh, they can become obsolete faster. So
Hmm.
If
True.
earlier the retirement age was 58 or 60 or whatever, I can foresee a retirement age coming much earlier. May not be official because okay, because of the statutes of the government, you need to have that. But you might become redundant earlier if you do not
Mm-hmm.
upskill yourself, if you do not unlearn and learn new things. So that is a challenge which particularly this I would call them the sandwich generation. The sandwich generation must really work upon upskilling themselves, reskilling themselves. जो नया जनरेशन है वो तो कर रहा है. जो
Hmm. बिल्कुल सही.
सनसेट जनरेशन है बोलेगा छोड़ो अभी 2 4 5 साल रह गए हैं निकाल लेंगे एंड दे आर इन लीडरशिप पोजीशन सपोजिंग. तो they have the organization setup working, they have that wisdom and
Hmm.
strategy
Hmm.
that compensates perhaps for the lesser skills they know because
Hmm.
they are more visionaries, I would say.
Hmm. Hmm. हाँ जी.
But the sandwich generation will be in trouble if they don't
Hmm.
upskill themselves. They might soon find because वो जो जॉब कर रहे हैं उससे सस्ता और उससे यंगर आदमी उससे जल्दी कर लेगा.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they need to bring value to the table. That
Yes.
is one major challenge I see as AI takes over and we get into the next generation of the workforce.
Actually rightly said. वो sandwich generation actual में sandwich हो जाएगा and
Yes.
slowly gradually taken over by that Gen Z.
They might become redundant in 45, 46 age if they don't
Hmm.
upskill themselves.
They'll not go till 60 then.
Yeah. They won't go until then.
Yes. Yes. So my last question, actually, I
हाँ
am
जी.
very curious to know that what would be those three core principles, Joe, should be a person looking for to emulate your success across the diverse domains.
See, how do I distill the learnings of all these years into three? Well, first I feel, and first and foremost, I feel is that you need to have deep conviction in
Mm-hmm.
whatever you plan to do or take up to do. Unless you have that self-belief and conviction, uh, you know, it will be just a half-hearted thing. So whatever you do it with full conviction and deep conviction that karna hai. The other thing I would say, which I mentioned a little while ago also, that
Mm-hmm.
we are working with people, along with people, whether you work virtually or whether you work in person. Uh, your value, see, your skill set may not be as high as your trust quotient. So your trust quotient के ये आदमी काम कर लेगा. अगर इसने बोला है ये 9 बजे आएगा तो ये आ जाएगा. उसने बोला है ये 6 बजे तक कर देगा तो कर देगा. You know, that trust is very important. So I would say that for you to believe in yourself and let do things in such a way that you are trusted, you have to be trusted by people. And
Okay.
another thing which I have experienced in life is you cannot rely on spreadsheets, you cannot rely on PPTs, you cannot rely on hearsay meetings. You
Hmm.
have to be hands on in anything and everything. You have to roll up your sleeves. You can't be sitting all the time in the AC chamber with a
Hmm.
MacBook and preparing strategies, and somebody else on the field is supposed to do something else. You have got to be on the field. You have to be seen on the field. Again, that's a part of building trust.
Hmm.
So, as a leader, you have to be seen doing things yourself. So, like you have, like this Zomato uh, promoter, Dipinder Goyal. He himself went and delivered something to find out कि होता
Hmm.
क्या है.
Hmm. होता क्या है?
So
हाँ.
those ground realities, two things
Hmm.
happen. कि if I am planning a strategy, if I'm planning something to do some changes, some transformation or some new initiative, nobody can say कि मुझे पता नहीं है मैं तो पीपीटी पे बैठ के कर रहा हूँ स्ट्रेटेजी बना
Hmm.
रहा हूँ एक्सेल शीट पे.
हाँ जी.
I know it because I have been on the ground. So being on the ground, being hands-on is very, very important. It is not that as you become a leader, you don't have time. It's all, you know, invalid. So you have to be hands-on, whether you are a CEO or a manager or into a sub leadership level. जब तक आप फील्ड पे नहीं है, हैंड्स ऑन नहीं है, you will not be able to build that trust. You will not be able to have that conviction of making decisions, making plans, executing strategies. You have to be hands on. So I believe, yeah, these three things: conviction of what you are wanting to do. People should trust you that, yes, अगर ये बोल रहा है तो we can go with what he says. And third, it will come from you being grounded, you being at the grassroots level, knowing everything yourself, not just relying on presentations or
Hmm.
spreadsheets. I guess,
Yes,
yeah,
you
these three things, yeah.
these are actually मतलब I have also seen in my जितना भी है career span कि
जी जी
जब आप एक leadership role पे पहुंच जाते हो उसके बाद people stop interfering or stop getting hands on
yeah,
and
they get
उसकी
distance from
वजह
the,
से वो
yeah.
हाँ उसकी वजह से वो चीजें बढ़ जाती है कि एम्प्लॉय के साथ कम्युनिकेशन या फ्रेशर्स के
Hmm,
साथ या वॉट एवर
hmm,
यस यू
yeah.
वेरी राइट इसीलिए आपके ये जो थ्री कोर प्रिंसिपल्स है दिस दीज आर एक्चुअली डिफाइनिंग योर
Yeah.
matlab the level you are at and of course your belief. I have so much, I actually learned too much from this podcast and
Hmm.
I'm very happy that मेरी आज आपसे interaction हो पाई. I'm very lucky. So
Thank you
sir,
so much.
and thank you personally and on behalf of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce also, I would like to thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today. Your experiences, insights are actually very inspiring to me personally as well. I'm surely going to carry forward these things in my life. And I'm sure our viewers must have gained immense value. And it has been an absolute pleasure, sir, to have you with us on our Success Series podcast. Thank you so much, sir. Sat Shri Akal. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.